That's Nick.
And that's Joseph. And today we're here to talk about Retribution, the seventh film directed by Nimród Antal, which is being released courtesy of Lionsgate August 25th, 2023.
Do you know another Nimród film?
Yeah, so do you. We had a movie night. I did a Hungarian movie night a moon ago called Hungary Pains, and it was
Hungary Pains?
Yeah.
I don't recall.
I made goulash, and we Kontroll, his 2003 debut, was one of the two films I showed that night. You are a fan of his 2007 film Vacancy with Luke Wilson and Kate.
Oh, I do like Vacancy.
And Kate Beckinsale. I've never seen Armored or Metallica Through the Never, but Predators in 2010 with Adrian Brody and his 2017 film The Whiskey Bandit I have also seen.
Okay, Retribution, the story.
It's also a remake. This film is a remake of a 2015 Spanish film, El Desconocido.
This movie, a bank executive receives a bomb threat while driving his children to school that his car will explode if they stop and get out. My pull quote is, this movie should be called Liar, Liar, Pants on Fire.
Yeah, that would fit, and maybe would fit more of the ridiculous energy. Mine is another humdrum, routinely nonsensical thriller peddling Liam Neeson as an obtuse, patriarchal parapet conquering society's evils.
I didn't care for this movie. I was pretty annoyed for a lot of it, and I don't think the quality of it is high enough. I don't know. It feels kind of cheap. I'm sorry.
It does feel cheap. I do appreciate seeing Berlin, where this is set and where it was filmed, but it's definitely not an elegant thriller by any means.
Liam Neeson is a financial person. It sounds like he works for a firm that does like investments, or I'm not sure. He just seems like a banker type person.
He's told by his boss, Matthew Modine, at the beginning, "You're a credit to capitalism."
Anyway, it's clear that he's having like family issues. His wife is tired of his ass. He clearly has no relationship with his children. He's pretty bad at being a dad. It was like we figured that out very quickly. But he's tasked with taking his kids to school, which appears to be a huge inconvenience for him. But he does it. And while he's driving them to school, there's a phone ringing in the car that no one recognizes. And it's in the center console. He answers it, and there's someone sounding like the guy from the Saw movies, like someone with a disguised voice telling him, basically, there are bombs in the car and they are censored to like the pressure on the seats. So if you get up, the bombs will detonate. And we already saw the opening of the film. We see on the news that another car has exploded. Mm-hmm. So now they're playing this game where this person's telling them to drive, like just drive, don't stop and don't get out and just drive. And at one point they have Liam Neeson stop and meet someone else who happens to be a partner in the firm. Mm-hmm. We see their car blow up, so now we know this is for real. Then we have him go meet his other partner. So the first partner, the first car we saw explode is one of the partners. There are 4 total, including Liam Neeson. So we see 2 get killed. The third one is his boss, played by Matthew Modine, and then we see him get killed, so we think. But finally, he ends up stopping because law enforcement has like created this barricade, and he's explained you need to stop the cell signal service so that the car won't blow up, and then they're able to get the kids out. Mm-hmm. But it's clear that law enforcement thinks Liam is responsible for all of it, which is part of what I don't understand about this movie. But then in the final act, Liam decides, well, since y'all don't believe me, I'm going to figure this out myself. So Liam is able to drive off from this barricade, contacts the mystery person, and they say, well, meet me at an address. Because we find out what the bad guy wants is that Liam and his firm, they embezzled like 200 million euros in an offshore account.
The emergency collateral account.
And this villain wants that money. Mm-hmm. But the only way to get it is if Liam like does the transfer. So Liam knows that he won't kill him because he's the only way he can get this money. So the bad guy has him meet him somewhere. And when we meet the bad guy, guess who it is? Matthew Modine. So Liam is like, well, I'm not doing this. And his plan, I guess, is to just drive off. And then he careens his car into like a bridge wall. And then Liam jumps out of the car but there's like that 1.5 second delay that's enough for him to hit the water before the car explodes with Matthew Modine in it. Man.
Meanwhile, the police, who weren't following after he left the barricade, show up just in time.
We need to talk about all that. So when Liam first gets in the car, everything in the car is malfunctioning. And it's a brand new, like, Mercedes GLS, like a very expensive car. And literally the screen is saying everything in the car is malfunctioning. And with his kids in the back seat, knowing that the seatbelts don't work, that nothing works, none of the safety features work, he decides to drive off. And then that's when he gets the call. I thought that Liam, as this character, was a comically bad dad.
Well, he's also much too old to... These are teenagers and a pre-adolescent. He's an elder... He should be their grandpa.
He does seem too old, but whatever. I know people like to have kids older, so that's not what this is about, I guess. But just like his attitude towards his kids is really bad.
He seems like he wants nothing to do with them.
I don't understand how that's important to the film.
Well, okay, so another bombshell that this drops, pun intended, is the man on the moon is telling him, you need to call your wife Heather. You need to get Heather on the phone. So he's trying to call his wife. He thinks that she's made some plans with a friend, which she never does. So then he calls the friend, and he's like, is Heather with you? And she says, no. And he pressures her, and she's like, okay, Heather's with a divorce lawyer. You've never been there for her, Matt.
Well, before that happens, before Liam knows about the bomb, he has to call a client who's having second thoughts about his investment. Because we find out that Liam and his firm are basically lying to people to get their money, and people are losing money, and they're skimming money off the top. But there's a call with this client, and I thought that was super corny, like poorly written.
It's bad, and somehow the children are picking up that he's lying through his teeth. His older son, Zach, is played by Jack Champion, who is Spider in the new Avatar film, and Lilly Aspell plays Emily, who played the young version of Gal Gadot in Wonder Woman.
Oh.
And then the wife, Heather, is played by Embeth Davidtz, who I used to quite like in the 90s. She was the original Miss Honey in Matilda. She was in Fallen with Denzel Washington.
So when Liam knows that the bad guy's on the phone and he's telling him, I'm watching you. So Liam thinks that there's a motorcycle trailing him. So we get a little sequence where he's trying to outrun the motorcycle, and then finally he has the idea to slam on the brakes so the motorcycle will hit him. And it does. And do you know who was on that motorcycle? Liam's son's little girlfriend who he's been skipping school with. I thought that was ridiculous. So this girl is following the car so that when he gets out, she can pick him up. But if he's going to school, like, where does she think she was going to pick him up from? Why does she need to follow this car?
So closely, yeah.
And dressed like a ninja. And then when she hits the car,
Ninja 3.
she's acting like, you hit me. Bitch, you hit me. You ran into me. I thought that was so poorly done.
As it is.
That girl should have been hurt. Okay, one thing I didn't like is when we see the other two... not the first car. The first car that we see in the opening of the film is a Tesla. But the next car...
With Modine.
No, that's not a Tesla. The very first car we see on the news is a Tesla. But the car we see, like the first one that Liam Neeson sees blow up, his first partner, is this guy driving an old 7 Series BMW. So immediately I'm like, oh, that car is going to get blown up.
Yeah, that's what I meant. That you also predicted that because of what Matthew Modine is driving.
And then when we see Matthew Modine, he's driving an old Maserati. So it's like, well, his boss is not going to drive a less nice car. Like, Liam's not going to drive a nicer car than his boss. So then immediately I knew, oh, they're going to be blown up.
I don't know. It is Germany. They're a little more equitable there.
Sure. That attorney scene where, like, the wife is at the divorce lawyer, even Liam telling the guy on the phone, like, it's a matter of life.
He's like, I'm Matt Turner. I need to talk to him.
That's all it took? There's no conflict. I mean, wow, okay.
But it's like, I don't know what it even matters that can't she have just a Zoom call with the divorce lawyer? Why does she have to do this whole to go see the divorce lawyer?
I think them having a bad marriage and him being a bad dad was overdone, because the interactions with him in the car with the kids before all this happens is kind of annoying.
It's annoying. Oh my God, the little girl is doing the most.
Yeah.
And then Jack Champion, when the police they take the doors off the car and they're about to extract them, he's like, Dad, I'm not going to leave you.
You hated your dad 30 minutes ago.
Okay.
But okay.
But now you feel such kinship. All right.
You know what else I hate is whenever we're like riding in the car and the display screen, like in the entertainment center, is off. No one drives like that. And then he keeps using it. So it's off until he makes a call. I don't like that. I really don't. This made me think of that. Well, you thought of it first. That movie with Nicolas Cage, Sympathy.
Sympathy for the Devil. Well, yeah, just as another recent car where we're spending a lot of time in a vehicle.
I think Sympathy for the Devil is much more effective.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But there are a myriad of other films that are also more effective than that. But
okay, the part of the thing that made me really dislike this movie is this aspect of the story where everyone thinks Liam is responsible for these car bombings, and no one's listening to him.
like he's Harrison Ford in The Fugitive.
Like no one's asking him. And then when he finally gets to the barricade, because he's asked, there is a law enforcement agent. What's her name?
Noma Dumezweni is the actor.
She's the one in contact with him.
Who you just saw in The Little Mermaid.
That's right. So so his car stopped. There's this police barricade. There's all this like the people with the protective like explosive suits, and this lady walks up to the car, knowing that he's saying knowing that there could be a bomb on it, without any protective gear. She will not listen to him. I was so frustrated.
The dialogue for that scene is so terrible because they're doing this dance about how we're all really worried about you, Matt, and then it is several beats before he gets around to saying that the kids can't leave because the car will explode and there's a bomb under my seat.
When I tell you my skin was crawling, I was so frustrated. Like, why can't you tell these people there are bombs under the seats and you can't get up? But instead they're dancing around it. And then I know this black lady is not getting paid enough to walk up to a car with a bomb on it. And even if she didn't believe that, she knows this man is dangerous.
And there have been cars blowing up all over the city. You would have had somebody in the suit give him a walkie-talkie and then correspond
She
with
walks
him.
up to that car in her Ann Taylor pantsuit like she's not worried.
She takes her gun out and puts it on the hood of any old car, the police car that's nearby.
I was so frustrated. So when...
And this is a person, Liam Neeson's character, Matt Turner, is supposed to be really good at communicating, right?
He's horrible at it, to everyone. When Matthew Modine's car blows up, which he didn't die in because he timed the explosion with a train passing. So he had enough time to get out of the car before it exploded, but to Liam Neeson, it looked like he died. But when that Maserati explodes, the shrapnel hits Liam's car and causes the daughter to be injured. And the way she's saying, I'm okay, was so annoying. I know it's just a little kid, but...
She's a little kid, but she's being directed to be over the top with her emotions, and that does not play well. But also in that scene, what doesn't make sense about this version of Retribution, I have not seen the original Spanish language film with Luis Tosar, but there are too many things left up to chance, because Embeth he usually doesn't take the kids to work. Well, actually, to school. I guess it didn't matter. Like, this bomb was going to be in there anyway. But then the scene where Modine we don't see him jump out. He's telling him you have to shoot your boss, who's your friend. And
that was also weird because, yeah, he's saying you have to shoot me basically. But what if Liam would have shot him?
He had more than enough time to do so, and he was banking on the fact that he wouldn't do that, which I find...
Yeah, that was weird.
But this man's children in the car. I don't know. Those are odds that I would not want to gamble with.
Okay, the other part that I hated is we see that the city is watching him. This is a major event. People think there's a terrorist on the loose and it's him. We see on monitors that he's on the news. It looks like helicopters are following him or surveillance video. Whatever is monitoring him, it's on the news. So they have like eyes on this Mercedes with Liam in it. But when he decides to leave the barricade, because he's like, if you're not going to believe me, I need to solve this myself. He's able to drive off and like lose the police, and now no one has their eye on him. The bad guy has him go to like this protest parade and gets into the car, Matthew Modine. And they sit in that car for a long time shooting the shit, and there are no police to be found. Then when Liam decides to drive off to figure out what to do, there are still no police there. It's not until he crashes that car into a bridge and the car explodes that then we see the police follow. How's that possible? How do we have eyes on O.J. Simpson in 1990 whatever, but we don't have... And it seems like we're still in downtown Berlin. It's not that big.
It's not that big, yeah, or hard to get around in. But
I just think that was very poorly done, and it just took me out.
yes, I'm looking forward to Liam Neeson graduating to the next era in his career, because we're going on 15 years of these kind of B-grade action films.
The final
C-grade,
nail in the
D-grade.
coffin for me is at the end when Liam jumps out of the car, it explodes with Matthew Modine in it, and then he safely gets out of the river. We see the lady looking at him, and they make eyes.
They nod, like, yeah, I got you.
And then we get like visuals in Liam's head of his happy wife and his happy kids. That was really.
But there's scenes that I hate when films do those kind of flashbacks, because there's scenes that were already utilized in the film. Technically, we should be seeing something else that's actually happy, because everything we've seen them do is miserable. So I don't know.
Yeah. I'm sorry. This was just a bear to get through, and
Like a lot of
a
recent
really odd story.
Liam Neeson movies, yeah.
What would you give it?
1.
I would give it 1.5, only because the component of like how is he going to get out of this had me going for a while.
Sure.
Even though I was screaming at the screen and not in a fun way. But I don't think it's a good movie.
I might have given it a half a point higher if one of the children had died.
Oh. Hit the thanks button. Listen to our podcast. Bye.